Hey everybody, it's William. Welcome back to Barcelona. Today we're going to be driving the Ferrari 488 GT3 car around here, making a setup for it, hopefully getting it down around the Audi R8 times. We already set that one up. I do want to say before we get into this, I had been having some recording issues, some stuttering, stuff like that, so if this one's a bit different, it's probably because of that. I'm trying to work through it and figure out exactly what's causing it, but um, just a little heads up on that one. So bear with me if there is some differences in this video. But yeah, as always with this stuff, guys, if you try this out and like it or don't like it, the feedback in the comments, I do read it. I do appreciate both the positive and negative feedback. I know this isn't going to work for everyone, so if it doesn't, or if you need to make some changes to it, feel free to share. It might help me out. It might help somebody else, and that's the whole point of this thing. Also, guys, um, I really do appreciate your support and liking this video, subscribing, all that stuff, sharing it with your friends, whatever. It helps immensely, and I do appreciate it. So, anyways, enough of that. Get on to the hot lap right after this, and then I'll be back, hopefully, to talk to you through some of the aspects of the setup. So, enjoy, guys. Alright everyone, well, I did have some recording issues. I had to re-record the hot lap in replay mode, and because of that you guys just got a screenshot of the sector times and laps and such. Um, yeah, hopefully I'll figure that out. It's just stuttering, and whenever I go back to watch my recording, um, it looks like a slideshow. I'm sure you guys don't want to see that. I've already accidentally recorded one like that before, and it is terrible. So working with what I got on this one. Um, anyways, let's talk about the setup. I started with the aggressive preset as always. Um, just made some changes to it. The aggressive preset feels pretty good in my opinion. It is just a little understeery. Um, a couple things right off the bat you can do to change that would be soften the front anti-roll bar or take some rear wing out of the car. Alternatively, you can also try increasing the rear ride height of the car to get it to rotate a little bit more or have some more aero, basically have less aero on the rear, a more effective front, or move the center of pressure a little bit forward on the car. But I wound up changing quite a few things because just there was some other issues I was having. So we increased the front camber, um, and then the tire pressures here are just to balance it out over the lap. Keep it around 28 psi for the front. That's where I liked it, and about 27.5 on the rear is the range I was trying to keep it in. A little bit lower in the rear just to give a little bit fatter tire, a little more traction out of the slow speed corners. Um, Onto the electronics, traction control on 2, ABS on 2, and TC2 on 1. I definitely like TC2 on lower values. I ran it between, I think, 1 and 6 with different TC values at the same time, but um, anywhere, like, I think it started at 3, and 2 and 1, it just seemed like the lower I went, the better it felt. So um, it's personal. These are very personal. You might need to change it to suit you or the track conditions you're driving on. The front brake pad compound we're running was the #1 compound. Um, Onto the suspension, brake bias, I moved it back to 56.4. That felt fantastic for this setup. Very good braking performance and stability into the corner. Any lower, like I was running 56 for a while, it just seemed a little bit easier to lose the rear of the car with it that far back. You can definitely make it work though. And anything further forward, I just felt like I was losing braking performance and a little bit of turn in. So somewhere around that is the sweet spot for what I was running here. Um, we also increased the wheel rates, especially on the rear. It started very low on the aggressive preset, and that is fantastic for the last sector on this track, all those slow speed corners. But through the high speeds, having it higher just worked way better for me. So if you do want to gain back some of that traction out of the slow speed corners, you can try lowering this wheel rate a click or maybe even 2 if you're really wanting to get some more traction out of it, or maybe you're driving like on a damp track or something like that. But yeah, this is mostly for the high speed and medium speed corners, of which there are a few around this track. The other thing, increase the preload diff, or the preload on the differential on the rear quite a bit. It started at 40. In all honesty, 40 felt pretty good. It was just a couple of the corners, the rear was getting very, very snappy. Wound up increasing it, and then it was just still snappy, but a little bit more inconsistent, so wound up increasing it a little bit more, 150, and it does kind of light up the rears out of some of the corners. I did on my lap that I recorded, but yeah, I would take needing to have throttle control, which I have absolutely none of, but I would take requiring a little bit of throttle control over having to catch the car on a corner entry a bunch of the time. So yeah, also if you are experiencing any like understeer or want to improve, if you're experiencing any understeer, you can lower this front anti-roll bar a little bit. If you want a little bit more security on turn in for the car or anything like that, you can increase the front anti-roll bar. That's a pretty easy go-to for this car, especially with how adjustable the anti-roll bars are on it. Also, or onto the dampers anyways, the only thing of note here really is just increasing the bump and rebound, both front and rear, just for the balance of the car basically. And then the aero didn't really do anything here. I lowered the wing 1 click. I had played around with the rear ride height a little bit, but it just unstable on corner entry for the way I was driving anyways, so lowered the wing 1 click. You could definitely make an argument to lower it to 8, just to, you know, if you don't want to mess with the roll bars or anything like that, you could also get rid of some of that high speed understeer. But 9 seemed to be a good balance of, as long as you hit your marks, you weren't really going to understeer in the high speed corners, and you still had a decent amount of downforce for the medium speed stuff, which is pretty important around here in my opinion. The only other thing I can really think of to try, or if you're going to do like a longer race for this, would be to try to increase the front ride height but keep the rake level the same on the car. So if you increase the front you know, 2-3 millimeters. Just go ahead and increase the rear 2 or 3 millimeters as well, and it might not exactly have the same dynamic rake on the car, but it should be pretty close. It just kind of helps with hitting some of the curbs and some of the weird bottoming out the car likes to do at a couple of the corners on this track. But anyways, guys, that's basically it for it. I enjoy driving this car. It kind of frustrates me setting it up. Nowhere near as bad as the Porsche though, so that's a good thing. I hope you guys like it. If you do drive it, um, let me know how you get on. Good feedback, bad feedback, whatever. I do read it. I do appreciate the feedback, whether it's good or bad. I do like the good feedback a little bit better, but it can always learn something from the bad stuff. So, um, as always, if this helps you out, feel free to share this kind of stuff. I prefer the video, but you know, if you just want to share the setup with a buddy and whatnot, it's all about trying to help everyone get a little bit faster, be able to drive a car that is a little bit more comfortable to drive around the track, hopefully anyways. It's not going to work for everyone, but that's my goal. So I appreciate it, guys, and I hope I will catch you on the next one.